This is VSiN, the sports betting network.
The numbers told the story, they always do.
It's one of those idiots who believe in analytics.
This is a numbers game with Gil Alexander on VSiN.
That's me. It's Gil Alexander. Good Thursday morning to you all. It's a numbers game at VSiN, the sports betting network, VSiN.com, Game Plus, iHeartRadio, YouTube TV, and of course, SiriusXM channel 158. Alongside Kelly Bidlin, everybody.
Good morning. How we doing?
Good morning. Wow, that was a very excited good morning. You good?
Happy to be here, Gil?
Yeah, man. Happy, grateful. It's a good day.
That's right.
We have Thursday Night Football tonight on the show today. Hey, what a booking we have here. Dave Ross will join us momentarily.
It was a tough one.
Host of VSiN's By the Books. He's the co-host with Jensen Lewis. Dave's going to join us to defend Jerry Jones's position on the Cowboys trade. We'll make him do that first.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And then talk about this UFC betting scandal that I don't know if the correct word is rocked to UFC, because I think that's a little dramatic. But it swayed them a little bit.
When I texted Dave yesterday, I was like, "Yeah, we'll probably talk. We'll talk to you about this because I had to deal with it for like a week in the NBA, so you can deal with it for 5 minutes."
For 5 minutes, that's right. Tim Murray, college football. We'll do that. Are we sure? Estamos seguros coming up, and then it's Zach and Crack. Zach Cohen talking tennis if he has any tennis as the week wears on there in the WTA finals, and also on the men's side on indoor hards, plus NBA thoughts from him, NFL Week 10, including Thursday Night Football. And then Tony Farmer joins us. Love this.
Yeah.
In between Zach and Crack, Tony Farmer, host of the Last Men Standing pod, is going to join us to talk Survivor and all his thoughts on that, all the tentacles of Survivor as we sit here approaching week number 10. And then Unscripted, of course, with Crackman Bill Krackenberger. All of that on the show today. All of it packed.
Pumped. Great show. Looking forward to having Tony in.
You know what my pet peeves are those when we say, oh, great show. Well, let's let it play out, and we'll find out if it's great. I don't know.
It's a great plan for the show, Gil? We could easily screw it up.
Some mornings I come in here, Kelly, and I'm like, I think I'm going to be mediocre today. I don't know.
Well, you should never feel that way. You should have more self-confidence, okay?
Well, I'm joking, but I'm just saying. You know how some people are like, oh, what a great conversation that was. Like, we'll be the judge of that if that was a great conversation with the guest. That sort of thing. Before we get into Thursday Night Football, last night, the Oklahoma City Thunder lost a basketball game.
Wow, I did not expect that's where Gil Alexander was going to go first. Okay, but I know why.
Well, I know you know why. Well, there's two reasons. One is from a betting perspective, because we had Will Hill on earlier this week saying, hey, I'm going to take him to win 70 games. Mm-hmm. And I think he got like plus 450-ish, somewhere in that neighborhood. Don't hold to the exact number there, but it's in the fours. And look, I pointed out, this only happened twice before in NBA history, right? The 73 and 9 Warriors who lost to LeBron and the Cavs in 7 ultimately in the NBA Finals. And then the 72 and 10 Jordan Bulls in the mid-90s that won it all. That's the list. 69 wins is the most since then, or the most besides those two. So it's a big feat to go through a 72-game schedule. But the feeling was that this might be a team that could do it. But man, you gotta reduce it to 12 losses, right? And one of them happened last night at the Blazers. Denny Avdia messed around and did his thing. 1 assist shy of a triple-double, Kelly, for Avdia, 26, 10, and 9. Man has 2 career triple-doubles. Anything else you need to know about his career? I'm your guy. You may recall I came back from a vacation after not the Super Bowl this past year, but when we were at the D the year before, and I said, well, I think we all can agree what the biggest moment of the 2 weeks I was gone was. And you're like, what are you talking about? I was like, Avdia going 43 and 15, which for Gentiles is the equivalent of going 86 and 30. So anyway, so you think OKC is, I mean, maybe this will come up in Are We Sure? I don't know. You think they can get to 70? Do you think they care? That was the other thing. You think they care to get to 70?
So I was very glad when you brought that up, because that's really the only thing that's holding me back. Like, all the pieces are there. We talked about this yesterday. I mean, look, they were missing Chet Holmgren, Lou Dort last night. It was kind of they had some guys out. But when we talked about this yesterday, one of the points I made, I think they can do it because the depth is so impressive. Both in talent and how much they have, and a lot of redundancy, right? You can throw out a lot of the same types of guards and wings that really allow you to play the same type of style offensively and defensively. So I think they can do it. I liked the Blazers last night, too, as a bet, though. I think it was a bad spot for Oklahoma City going in there. And The takeaway for me in this game, though, Gil, it really is more about the Blazers. I thought this was a team that was going to be pretty good this year. Obviously, they get rocked early in the season with the Chauncey Billups news, but Toumani Camara, not many people are going to know about. He is one of the best defenders in the NBA. Denny Avdia, if you weren't paying attention, at the end of last season was putting up ridiculous numbers in the final 6-8 weeks of the season. He's 12-1 to win Most Improved Player. I think he's going to be right in that mix for the rest of the season. And Drew Holiday is playing out of his mind.
Yes, saw that too.
Like,
why do the Wizards? I said at the time too, not just armchair quarterbacking. Why do the Wizards let a guy like Avdia go? I have no idea. None.
Yeah, I can't answer that one for you. I really can't. That was a fun game, though. Fun night in the NBA.
Fun night, for sure. All right, Thursday night.
Profitable night, which makes it always more
There you
fun.
go.
Yeah.
Nicely done. Thursday night in the National Football League, Week 10 begins. It is a Raiders-Broncos game tonight. And, every Thursday morning we try to just sort of give some context to this. This is not going to surprise anybody. This is a lot of one-way traffic is what it feels like. And I can go through some numbers here. As we tend to do here with the advanced stats. Mm-hmm. One of those idiots who believes in analytics. Raiders offense, abysmal. 30th in the league in offensive DVOA, ahead of only the Titans and the Browns. And now you're playing arguably the best defense in the NFL. Broncos rank 4th in opponent EPA per play, 1st in opponent success rate, meaning they don't have much success against the Broncos at all. Of course, the spread is the great equalizer here. But the Broncos have been, there's a little home road thing happening with the Broncos, too. They rank 3rd in net yards per play on their home field, plus 1.6. Let's go to Geno Smith. Only 5 quarterbacks with at least 5 starts worse under pressure, reflected in his 42.1 ranking at Pro Football Focus. Vance Joseph's defense blitzed 7th most, 27.4%. 3rd highest pressure rate, 28.2%. 40 sacks, which is a unbelievable 12 more than the next best team, the Lions, at 28. That's how good the Broncos' defense has been. That's the gap between them and the next best team in terms of sacks. Raiders field the worst run unit, according to DVO and EPA per play, 29th in the league in EPA per play. Broncos 4th in the NFL in yards per carry allowed, 3.7. 6th in the league in EPA per rush allowed. 6th in terms of fewest yards allowed through the air as well. I could go on. Maybe I will a little longer. Denver's defense, 4th in the NFL in EPA per play allowed overall. And one of the best teams in the league when it comes to covering opposing tight ends, though I think Brock Bowers, now with Jacoby Myers gone, will probably be targeted that much more heavily. Raiders, 23rd in the NFL in EPA per play allowed, and miserable against the pass, 25th in the NFL in EPA per pass. Anyway, you could just run through these for another 10 minutes, but you get the idea. It's all one-way traffic in terms of how this plays out. Oh, and by the way, it's on the road on a short week into Elevation. We should point out as well. And they played overtime on Sunday. So they played a full extra frame, really.
Yeah, it's a great call.
So all of that in the mix, and the Broncos are 9-point favorites with a total at 43. Look, it's the NFL. It's a division game. Thursday games tend to be janky even when you're not the team that's traveling on the road in Elevation after having played an overtime game. So I get it. But there's no way you can talk me into a Raiders bet here.
I don't think I'm going to be able to talk you into it. I think, though, I'm going to be interested to see where this line moves today. Because we saw this open around 10, hit 10. There was even like a 10.5, I think. Now we've got 9s, we've got 8.5s out there. We're going to talk teasers later in the show. I think if more 8.5s populate, I think that will be a popular teaser leg, and I think for good reason, as you just broke down with the Broncos. If this goes a little higher, I saw enough out of that Raiders offense last week, and I know it was the Jaguars defense. But, man, just Brock Bowers seeming to be a little back.
He's incredible.
He's incredible. Targeted 13 times, had 12 catches in that game last week. One of the best tight ends in the league already. If I see a 10, I'll probably be in on the Raiders small tonight. I don't know if I'm there yet on the Broncos offense. I know they've been a little bit more consistent here, and they actually rate out a little higher than I would think.
I don't know. Bo Nix's rushing per carry is spiking now also. Like it was started slow this year with him and that, but it's getting back to like him knowing exactly when to run. And
he has to use his wheels.
He's great at it. And then from a Survivor perspective tonight, again, apply it to the Survivor contest that you're in around the country. But if you're in Circa, 1,769 entries left, roughly a third have the Broncos available to them. Again, the team that is a big spread that has the fewest available on them are the Colts. You have 35 of the remaining entries that have the Colts available. But
was this a green light for you? I don't even remember.
This was a green light. Yeah. This is a green light. I think you have to. And I know people, Thursday division, right? There's a lot, the red flags tick for people in Survivor. Mm-hmm. But again, the division stuff is largely a myth, quite frankly, as we went over many times, courtesy of Jason Lisk over there at Pool Genius. 600, it's like about 600-ish have the Broncos. Don't hold me to that, but it's right around there. So it's roughly a third have the Broncos available to them. And I don't think you're saving them for at Kansas City on Christmas. I just don't think you are.
Yeah, no.
So that's, and once the only other quote-unquote natural spot to play the Broncos would be at Washington November 30th. I think Washington becomes part of that natural to play. That's how bad their defense is. And obviously without Jaden. So I still think this is a better spot as far as spots go. You know how much Matt Brown loves spots. But there are tons of choices, obviously, this week. But I don't think many better than tonight. Carolina is the most organic. But yeah, I just, with all those stats, it's just a litany of, you throw down all these numbers. Can the Raiders over the course of an entire 60-minute football game cover that number? I would bet against that. And I think I probably will have bets by the time. The question is, will I put in my millions? Because it's so
you said
scarce.
That yesterday. Yeah.
Will I put in the millions play as a fifth play here on the Broncos? These are all the Survivor team considerations real quick. I could even add the Colts, if you have the Colts as a check mark, because there's only 35 people who have them available. Mm-hmm. So the only one of all the big favorites and big is in quotes, I wouldn't get cute and play the Bears, like a 3.5-point favorite. And I wouldn't get cute and play the Browns against the Jets. That came up yesterday as well.
Yeah, I'd avoid that as well.
Let's not be adorable, Survivor. Let's not do that. All right, who's first? Let's talk
Dave Ross.
Dave Ross, next.
If you're serious about football betting, VSiN's got your weekend game plan. Fridays at 7 p.m., it's the Circa Friday Football Invitational. Saturday morning, VSiN's college football tailgate show at 9 a.m., breaking down matchups, props, and big-time bets. Later that night, join the football contest show as the sharpest betting minds give you their picks for Sunday's game. And Sunday at 9 a.m., lock in with Mitch and Pauly on VSiN's Pro Football Tailgate Show. Your final stop before kickoff. Check out the full lineup at VSiN.com and join us on the Sports Betting Network.
So, Pauly, have you had a chance to read the VSiN Daily yet?
Yeah, came in at 3 a.m. What's Bill doing up that late?
Well, rumor has it, it starts off with a 12-hour meditation session.
Then he just pours himself over film and live TV, really focusing and taking it all in. Bill's in with the biggest insiders, talking trade secrets, strategies, the whole nine, absorbing the info.
And then and only then can the writing process begin.
In Las Vegas, Bill's late night becomes your early morning. Wake up to the very latest betting insights in your inbox with the VSiN Daily. Sign up for free at vsin.com/newsletter.
Coming up on the next edition of Follow the Money, Thursday Night Football, Raiders and Broncos, and what's it mean for Survivor? Paul Charchi to talk props and give out fantasy advice. The guru, John Hansen, on the program, and Steve Wiss to give out his best soccer bets in the Premier League. Follow the Money, 4 to 7 Eastern on VSiN. The Sports Betting Network, now Sirius XM Channel 158. Check out the website for all the betting tools and analysis, or get the VSiN Watch app.
The Numbers Game on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Want to bet smarter? Start with Smarter Insights. Right now you can check out Greg Peterson's college basketball best bets, Zach Cohen's preview for tonight's Raiders-Broncos game, and Thursday's college football previews. Later today you can check out Zach Cohen's NBA picks and props, Jonathan Davis's NHL best bets, and this week's first touchdown scorer picks. Unlock every article with VSiN Pro. The Sports Equinox Special gives you full access through May the 1st, 2026 for just $120. Sign up now at VSiN.com/subscribe and stay sharp through spring. Ladies and gentlemen, bad news this morning. I'm sure you heard it if you were listening to By the Books, but Cowboys defensive end Marshawn Kneeland, who just scored a touchdown. Remember the blocked punt the other night? He was the guy who pounced on it in the end zone. Has passed away. His agent and the team announced early this morning. Shocking news, 24 years old. It makes for, there's no artful way to have it. We were going to have Dave Ross on, and I was going to have him defend the Cowboys trades this week, and we were going to poke fun at Dave and all that kind of stuff, and we'll still do that, but it would have felt more awkward if we didn't bring this up because this is obviously just tragic news. Dave Ross joins us now, host of By the Books, courtesy of the Progressive Guest Line from our studios in Kentucky, the Circus Studios. And Dave, you and I were just talking off air about the fact that what this calls to mind, right, is when Sean Taylor passed away. We were doing I was doing a morning show at the time. It was, people jumped to all kinds of wrong conclusions then, and we don't want to have people doing whatever they do with that ever. So we'll see the circumstances. What a tragedy! What an absolute tragedy.
Yeah, you're right. And Gil, you and I being in D.C., and I was working at Fox 5 back in those days, and I was at Redskins Park that night when he was in surgery, and they came out, the PR people at the time, and said, hey, you can go home. He's going to be okay. We thought he was going to pull through. I'll never forget that. And then you get back then we had pagers. You get paged that he had passed away 3 hours later. And that football team, it's one of the most solemn places I've ever been to go back to Redskins Park and cover that team the remainder of the year. So, yeah, we were set to have a lot of fun talking about the Quinnen Williams trade and what's Jerry doing and all those things. And then you hear this news of Marcus Kneeland this morning, a second-round pick from a year ago, as you mentioned, scored the touchdown on Monday night, a guy they were really counting on when you get at Quinnen Williams, when you get at Kenny Clark, to really try to refortify this defense. He was one of those pieces. So the human side of it is absolutely brutal. And then to go back into those facilities during their bye week is what they're on right now before they get back in there next week, Gil. You just don't know how this stuff affects young men that have to go out there and play a sport that we all love. The human level, we feel for them. But again, you and I kind of know this firsthand from the DC days, and there's no telling what type of effect this is going to have on a football team going forward. And, I'm kind of at a loss for words when you see stuff like this because we like the fun side, we like the gambling side, we like the football side. You don't like the real life side. And this, fortunately, does not happen very often. But when it does, it sticks with you like it did those Redskins teams. And I know it's going to stick with this Cowboy team, unfortunately, going forward.
Yeah, it shattered that franchise. It really did at that time.
It did.
In 2007. No doubt. And obviously, our best to his family and obviously the Cowboys organization on that. No artful way to transition, and I'll go easy on you now based on the context, the sort of feel of all of that. But you didn't hate what the Cowboys did the other day.
I didn't. And the reason why is, if you get moved, like Sauce Gardner got moved to the Colts, and then Quinnen Williams gets moved to the Cowboys, as great a player as you're perceived to be, you have to then realize somebody was willing to move on from you. The same thing for Micah Parsons in Green Bay. So essentially what Jerry ended up doing was flipping Micah for Quinnen in his prime. Didn't have to pay the deal that Mike has got paid there to be the highest paid non-quarterback in the history of the NFL. And Jerry was not willing to get there. And to flip him also for a run stopper and a pretty good darn player in his own right at 30 years of age in Kenny Clark to revamp that defense. And you go get a linebacker from Cincinnati. We'll find out what Logan has here, how good of a player he could be. That was a marginal play for a 7th-round pick. But the point being is they made moves to make what was the real problem of this defense better. That was stopping the run. They didn't stop the run with Micah. That's the secret that nobody talks about. This was a terrible defense against the run with 11 in Dallas. And they've remained terrible with 11, now 1 in Green Bay. Quinnen Williams should help. And I know we think of pass rush first from a defensive tackle. Is he Aaron Donald? No. Can he be, and you'll know this name, Gil Alexander, can he be a Russell Maryland, who was a former number one pick by the Cowboy back and a key part of those championship teams? Yes, he can be that type of impact player. So I like the move, and basically you flip a first for a second. That's the value going back to the Jets for a first and a second round pick. So it wasn't two number ones that you got from Micah. It's still a 1 and a 2. It's a little bit less on the salary cap here for you going forward. So a little bit more maneuverability here. But if I can spin it that way for Jerry, that's the glass half full way that I'm going to do it today.
Spin, glass half full, rose-colored glasses, whatever you want to call it. It's all, I admire all of it.
Just following the Jerry lines to a T, too. We got to stop the run, Gil. We got to stop the run. What the heck with the generational pass rusher?
Kelly. It's 1960 all over again.
I just want to say that, and we'll leave it at this because I don't want to belabor this. The trade happened a couple days ago. But where I think he blew it is on the giving of the better first-round pick, right, in the 2027 deal for Quinnen. So
sure.
Essentially, if you swap that with the Green Bay Micah stuff, you're looking at a situation where if the Packers, I gave the scenario the other day, the Packers, let's say, get to an NFC championship, right? So and let's say the Cowboys are mediocre. I'm not even going to say your team will be bad, right? I'll be charitable. Right. Let's say they're right down the middle of the league. Okay, let's go to fantasy land, Dave. Sorry, that was my little shot. Okay, let's say it's that. That's still like a 15 pick difference. And as we say in an NFL, as you know, in an NFL draft, people are trade like 2 mid-round draft picks just to move up like 5 spots in the first round. So to me, that's where he blew it.
I think that's fair. I would say, too, in the betting market, gentlemen, you can find overs in the Cowboys at 6.5 adjusted now at about $1.30, $1.35 out there for a 3-win football team. That tie is going to hurt against the Packers. Look, I'm sitting dead, drawn dead at 7.5, Gil, so far from the summer. So I'm really happy that Jerry didn't wave the white flag and he's trying to make this defense better. Obviously, the news today is devastating because I was really excited about them coming out of the bye and what this defense might look like, because you did get to move some of those younger players like a Donovan Ezaraku, and you could really learn from the Quinnen Williams and the Kenny Clarks of the world now. The depth obviously gets eroded with the tragic news today. So from a football standpoint, it does hurt. But I still do think from a football standpoint, the defense will be better on the second half of the year. I would have liked this move at the beginning of the year, and when they wanted to move Micah, you guys know this, they talked to the Jets about Quinnen Williams. If they had made that move before the season, they might not be 3-5-1. Has too much sand in the hourglass evaporated? Possibly, but I do think this will be a better defense, marketably better in the second half of the year.
Okay.
Dallas Cowboys plus 850 to make the playoffs. Just throwing that out there for Dave.
Yeah,
okay?
we're just sprint to the window, Dave. Sprint there.
It's right behind me.
Let me ask you about this. Let me ask you about this this UFC scandal. So, and you can fill in the blanks here. So, Integrity Company informs Dana White, look, there's some strange betting action on this fight. Dana White immediately calls the fighter in his camp and says, hey, you owe somebody some money. You're in trouble. You're hurt. What's going on? He's like, nah, man, I'm going to crush this guy in the first round. He goes out and he gets beaten in the first round. Fill in the blanks for us. What the hell?
It's pretty accurate from Isaac Dalgarian, who then immediately got dropped by Dana White after that fight because, again, the suspicious betting patterns were from dormant accounts. And then all of a sudden they came to life to bet a first-round stoppage prop on the dog side. So you saw, $16 million were wagered on this low-level Apex card, not even the main event. A lot of flags went up right there, as you guys well know. And look, that's what Dana does do, though. When he sees this type of stuff, he does go right to the fighter, kind of face-to-face. Hey, are you hurt? And normally it's injury-related when you see big line moves like that on the day of the fights. And it did not seem like that was the case. And then, as Dana said, he immediately called the FBI. Imagine that, boys, that you go from being at the Apex, octagon side, you're watching this knowing what the bets are that you've been informed about. It plays out that same way. And you go, you know what I got to do now? I got to call the feds. That is a wild A to Z to get there. There is going to be more to come to this. If there's any light to be shed on potentially referees that we're hearing with judging All of this needs to come to the forefront now because you guys know how much I love MMA and the UFC in specifics. You cannot. This is why you see the Hammer of Thor in the NBA. You see it in Major League Baseball with Emmanuel Clase in the Guardian situation. You cannot have the thought that these outcomes are predetermined. If you will, your sport will die. Certainly, MMA would suffer much more than the major organizations. So that I applaud, but this is stunning, and it gave me chills when I heard other fighters say they've been approached and then immediately try to walk that back. But this does not feel like, sadly, an isolated incident.
Yeah, on the tennis tour, they worry about this in sort of the lesser, matches. First of all, ITF tour, but certainly on like the 250s, even if you're on the main tour. And I wonder if this becomes a thing with UFC. Dave Ross, everybody.
Can't have it, boys.
Can't have it. Can't have it. At D Ross Sports, pardon me, Dave Ross, host of By the Books with Jensen Lewis. Thanks for staying over, Dave. Appreciate it.
Anytime. Bet the over 6.5. Plus 850 is not a bad number either, Kelly.
There you go. Coming back. Teaser time.
Got a good thing coming. Just wait and see. It's a good. Your sports betting game with VSiN's exclusive betting splits. Stay ahead with real-time market trends and track bet percentages on any matchup. Then uncover the edge by comparing them to the amount of bets placed to find out where the sharp money is headed. Upgrade to VSiN Pro to access betting splits, live odds, line moves, power ratings, and in-depth game analysis. Go to vsin.com/pro to join VSiN, the sports betting network.
This is VSiN, the sports betting network.
A numbers game on VSiN, the sports betting network.
Get ready, Las Vegas. The Neon City Music Festival is here. Free. All ages. Celebration of music, food, and art. Let me repeat that. It is free. Experience electrifying performances from Waldorf, Maryland's Good Charlotte, Deadmau5, Breaking Benjamin, Two Friends, and more. I feel like, again, some of the bigger names are getting lost in that shuffle right there. Fitz and the Tantrum's going to be there. They're huge. De La Soul meets Of the Soul. They're going to be there as well. Festival Without Fences will bring you mouth-watering food, stunning 3D graphics on the Viva Vision screen, and jaw-dropping performances, all free November 21st through the 23rd. It's an experience you won't want to miss. Book your stay downtown at Circa Las Vegas. Details at neoncityfestival.com. That's neoncityfestival.com. Dave Ross has checked in after that segment. He says, make sure everybody knows I was just kidding. I'm not taking the Cowboys plus 850 to make the playoffs.
Got it, Dave.
Noted. Duly noted. He is not. He was kidding. Even he's not that ridiculous. Is basically what he should have said on the text.
Mm-hmm.
He should have said, even I'm not that ridiculous to think the Cowboys are any type of good to make the playoffs.
You know what?
Did I paraphrase that okay, Dave? I'm sure.
Yeah, good job.
Sorry
I'm adding a question to Are We Sure, though, later.
Oh, you are? Okay. We get tweets at Beating the Book. Judd O'Connor on the game tonight. He says, my favorite take on tonight's game, Sean loves, talking about Sean Payton, loves to showcase his prized possession, Bo Nix. Yeah, we've heard that on Twitter this week. There's no doubt in my mind that it'll get showcased tonight and air it out in this primetime game. Hey, man, if you could profit off Sean Payton's sort of angles and arrogance, if you want to call it that.
Yeah, Warren brought that up yesterday with us.
Yeah, he brought it up, not us. LFC title records. I also thought the Blazers would step it up this year, which is why I bet Billups for Coach of the Year the day before he was arrested. This is for LFC title records. He put that in caps.
Brutal.
He puts that in caps. That's why I'm screaming. Also, my T-Wolves are undefeated this year against teams with a head coach under FBI investigation, he points out. New York Mets 16. Is Will Hill really betting that OKC 70-win season? Well, he said he was.
Numbers better today.
Primetime, Cowboys _ Cubs 1. Weird how Gill and the ESPN article are willing to put Green Bay in the NFC title game to make their point, but are unwilling to allow Dallas improving with players acquired and 2 first-round picks in 2026. I think Dallas and Green Bay picks will be closer next year than you think. I was willing to have them improve. I said they'd be a mediocre team. See what I did there, Cowboys _ Cubs 1? All right, you ready to do this?
Yeah, let's do it.
Teaser time.
It's teaser time.
Short and to the point.
Couldn't decide if I wanted to talk more about that UFC thing or not. It's interesting.
It is interesting. It's interesting in many ways because...
Sorry, crew.
Yeah, sorry, teaser. Sorry, Ryan. Teaser time. I know, Ryan.
We'll be right back.
Ryan gets paid by every time he says teaser time. They pay him. It is interesting because, and I do relate it to the lower end of the tennis tour, right? So
right.
If, I always think of Winston-Salem because there was a match fix there once. It's one of these lower-end tennis tournaments. Somebody who's the economy of the tennis tour is such that if you're not in the top 50, it is really tough to make it work because you're paying your trainer, you're paying your physio, you're paying your coaches, you're paying for your own travel, right? And if you're not winning prize money, it doesn't make ends meet.
I mean,
right?
even the huge names in women's tennis we're seeing behind us playing all year long just to be able to make a comfortable living.
That's right. Yeah,
for them.
No, seriously, you walk by the number 20th ranked women's tennis player in the world, and I'm like, hey, Miss Putintseva. She's, oh my God, you know who I am.
Perfect example.
So, Miss Putintseva, by the way. So, that's what I called her. So, no, I just think that we're human beings. There is temptation, right?
Yeah.
If it's in front of you, and so this is an interesting thing. And we were talking a little bit about off air about the, hey, crushed a union. You're very big on control of Conor McGregor is a name that brings in people, so economically speaking, he should get on. Well, I mean, then you're opening yourself up on the bottom end for chicanery.
No, so you totally are. I thought that was a great point by you and 3 of us talking off air. It's very fascinating to me to compare this to what the NBA is going to go through because Dana White kind of no matter how you feel about him, right, he kind of has all the power at the end, right? He can call you. Dave just told that story, right? He's out in front of it to begin with, goes directly to the FBI.
Good on him.
I mean, he's
got Cash Patel on speed dial.
I mean, he could squash this stuff, seemingly as soon as it comes up. Meanwhile, the NBA is probably going to be dragged through months and months and months of congressional hearings and lawyers up and down from teams and the league offices and all this stuff. It's just two completely different situations, yet the sport's going through similar things.
Yeah, and I'll go back to my NBA thing. I actually think the Terry Rozier thing is going to end in nothing. I think the poker thing is going to be something.
Me too.
I think the Terry Rozier thing is going to end in nothing because I think, again, and by the way, the Chauncey Billups part about, remember, Chauncey's involved in both of them. I think the Chauncey Billups part about the betting in the NBA is going to end up in nothing either. I think the poker thing is going to stick. But my theory on the NBA betting stuff is there's too much plausible deniability. Terry Rozier can simply say, now, obviously, splitting the money at his house, so they could prove that. Maybe that's a different story. But generally speaking, you're like, hey, I just told a friend. Chauncey Billups is like, yeah, I just told a buddy. I mean, these NBA teams are tanking anyway. So, like, now we're going to parse between the players doing it somehow. Because even if I believe, right, I'm not saying I don't believe that they didn't do it with, criminality in mind, right? But what I'm saying is there's plausible deniability in a good attorney's defense.
Yeah, I agree.
Where they can say, Terry Rozier missed the next 4 games, which he did, right? After that. He was hurt. What are we talking about? So what if his friend went and told some? That's not on him.
Yeah, we said that right off the bat, right? It's sure you would expect an organization or a company to be upset with you leaking secrets like that, right?
Yes.
But it's not technically illegal. Right? And I would highlight, there's so much good content out there on this subject. Obviously, It's been going on for a couple weeks. I would recommend, though, the Hoop Collective did a podcast about a week ago with a very, very high-level attorney that was familiar with a lot of the people involved. And she brought it up, exactly like you did. The mob case with the poker, completely different, a very classic mob RICO case that she felt they would have very strong evidence against, and she brought up how this is going to be a lot of the Wire Act being thrown around, and it's kind of a stretch of what it actually is to break the Wire Act. So,
by the way, the mob part of it, again, also is not the entire poker thing. The mob had nothing to do with the poker games in Vegas or Miami or anywhere but the New York ones.
Right.
So all of it was thrown into the sensationalized bucket, and
just wanted to drop names, make it so. Whenever we could say mafia,
Cosa Nostra. Whenever we get that into a show, is there a statute of limitations on Ryan saying teaser time, or we still got to do it?
No, we'll just go. We'll just go to it. Right. There we go.
Teaser time. Kelly with a little poetic license, but you've kept this to Wongers, right?
There's a lot of Wong options this week. Yeah, that's kind of why I wanted to talk about it.
Okay.
I did personally make a couple early. It includes a leg not listed though because it was the Bills. I tied a couple in with. But there's still here a couple I like.
Okay. Of these 6, I have, if the task is, as we do on the Megapod, by the way, Las Vegas Chris on the Megapod.
Oh, nice.
After the show today. Multiple contest winner, Las Vegas Chris Zenuk.
I was kind of expecting to see him at the Fontainebleau Sportsbook over the weekend.
Why?
Because I've ran into him a couple times there. Yeah.
Yeah, can't wait to have him. By the way, Las Vegas Chris this week, Steve Zabin next week on the Megapod. But of these 6, Jets plus 2.5 versus Cleveland. Texans plus 1.5 versus Jacksonville. Patriots plus 2.5 at Tampa Bay. Lions minus 8 or thereabouts at Washington. Steelers plus 2.5 at the Chargers. Eagles plus 2.5 at the Packers. If I said to you, you must select one 2-leg 6-point teaser, the answer is
Eagles and Patriots.
Eagles and Lions for me.
Yeah. No, I don't hate that. This Lions number is...
And the Lions is technically not a Wonger.
Yeah.
Because it's a road big favorite.
Lions has come down. I like this one again this week. I got burnt by them last week in teasers. Haven't done anything with it yet, but around that number 8, that number is coming down a little bit. Gil was surprised. A little Washington money coming in yesterday. By
the way, let me just define Wonger because there's always new listeners. Stanford Wong, pseudonym of John Ferguson, wrote the book on this many, many years ago, decades ago. The most profitable plus EV 6-point teaser legs. And again, they are dependent upon total. as well. This has changed a little through the years with push charts, but generally speaking, road dogs or home dogs of between 1.5 or 2.5 points teased upward through the 3 and the 7. Home favorites of between 7.5 and 8.5 teased down through the 7 and the 3. Not road favorites of between 7.5 and 8.5. That's why I say the Lions is not technically a Stanford Wong leg. But for me, it'd be the Lions and Eagles only, Kelly, because I don't trust any of the other 4. Like, if you told me the Chargers won by double digits, I wouldn't be surprised. If you told me the Bucks actually won by double digits, I know Patriots fans will hate me for this. I wouldn't be that surprised. And the Texans and Jets can absolutely lay eggs. So, wouldn't.
Oh, absolutely.
It's just a non-trust thing for me.
I like the Eagles one, too. I have an under in that game. So I did bet. I bet Bills with the Eagles teased up. I expect that to be a lower scoring game this week.
Okay. Let's talk some college football. Tim Murray, his favorite plays of the weekend. I'll ask him about some of the marquee matchups as well. It's a numbers game right here at VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
VSiN's player prop projection tool is now available for the NBA. Get projections for points, assists, rebounds, and more powered by Opta AI. On VSiN.com/NBA props, we line up our projections against the latest DraftKings odds so you can quickly spot mismatches and find value before the market adjusts. The NBA player prop projections tool is available exclusively to VSiN Pro subscribers. Check it out now at VSiN.com/NBA props and join us on the Sports Betting Network.
Join the guru, John Hansen, at the intersection of prop betting and fantasy sports on Prop Points, only on VSiN.
Lesson number 1, Patty's back. I still believe that Caleb Williams is not any good. And, other than Rome Odunze, I don't trust anyone that can't run the ball.
John and his guests will help you find the connection between the two and give you his expert advice on how to capitalize when a number is too good to pass up. Prop Points, weekdays at 1 p.m. Eastern on VSiN.
Numbers Game on VSiN, the Sports Betting Network.
Back on the Numbers Game, live from Circa Resort Casino, downtown Las Vegas. Gil Alexander, that right there is Kelly Bidlin, ladies and gentlemen, producer number 9, so much more than a producer. One of the entertaining things that I have here is watching Kelly watch sports that he is not super into. And Coco Gauff and Aryna Sabalenka are warming up for their clash. Trying to build it up. The WTA finals.
That's right.
Yeah. And they did keys to the match.
It's like the keys to victory graphic, right?
Yeah.
I don't know if they were real tennis phrases or not, but I was dying laughing. And Sabalenka was like, first strike offense. I was like, what does that mean? Like, you just like get an ace every time? Like,
no, not an ace every time, but you try to end the points quickly.
Yeah, okay. So it's like Happy Gilmore hitting a hole in one and be like, I should just try to do this every time. Got it. You should, yes. In tennis, I suggest that as well. You should win points and win them as quickly as possible.
The theory being that you don't want to get in a rally with Coco. Just overwhelm her early. It's awesome. Tim Murray joins us now to talk some college football with us. He joins us now courtesy of Progressive Guest Line. You can follow him on Twitter at @1TimMurray. That's the number 1 Tim Murray, host of VSiN Primetime, host of the College Football Tailgate Show, host of the College Football Betting Podcast. What's happening, man?
Well, everything, man. Just fired up, man. We got another week of college football here, so ready to rock, Gil.
What did you want to mention about this before we get into college football? This college basketball thing?
Oh, yeah.
I pulled this up.
Yeah, so I wanted to point this out. I talked to Mitch Moss about this on, I think it was either Monday or Tuesday. We were 2 ships passing in the night on primetime. And our good buddy Jim Root of the 3-Man Weave jumped on the show on Tuesday to talk about IU Indianapolis, formerly IUPUI. And go ahead and look at the board right now, guys, for college basketball today. It is the first extra game, and a handful of shops are not even booking the game right now. And it's kind of fascinating because they have a situation where their first game of the season was bet up by like 12 to 15 points when they played Ohio State. And the total still went over by like 40. IU Indianapolis switched coaches this offseason, and they brought in a Division II coach from West Liberty, a school in West Virginia, and they averaged over 100 points a game a year ago. So they don't, I think, know how to properly book this team. They had over 80 possessions in the Ohio State game. The final score in regulation was 118-102. I know the Westgate Superbook and a couple other shops are starting to trickle out, I think, a total of 180.
That's what I'm looking at.
I am so fascinated to see this team and how they are booked as the year goes on, because they look like they're going to be a team that's going to go up, play no defense, and just run a ton of possessions. So I can't believe we're already here, game 2 of the season, where there's just a shoulder shrug of how to book this particular game. But the total is 180.5, I believe, right now. And this is just kind of one of those fun things to keep an eye on here early on in the college basketball season with a random team in college hoops. But yes, IU Indianapolis taking on LIU, coached by Rod Strickland.
Wow.
And right now the total is 180.5, and the spread is sitting there at 3 for this game. That just could be absolutely bonkers today.
Yeah, there is. Tim's right. I got my board up.
I'm looking at a 180.
Yeah, I got my board up. There are multiple shops that don't have it posted. I see a 182 at Caesars, and I see stations here in town with a spread on the game, but not a total posted.
I actually see the 180 moving now with the juice right after we discuss this.
Are they rolling out 5 guards and just running up and down constantly like that? Have you seen anything from the Ohio State game?
Yeah, I haven't watched a ton of it, but yeah, go and just do yourself a favor if you're bored today. Go look at some of the scores from West Liberty last year. They had a game where they scored 162 points in regulation. I mean, this team is going to be insanely frantic. Like I said, 86 possessions in the first game against Ohio State in regulation, which is just astronomical. When you think about last year, guys, Alabama led the nation in tempo at 75 possessions per game. So, yeah, this is going to be a pretty intriguing situation to keep an eye on. And that's the beauty of college basketball. There's 360-plus teams, and there's going to be some weird teams that just play at frantic paces. And then there's going to be teams that, put a nail in the ball and want to slow it down, St. Mary's style. So, I'm curious to see how this game ultimately gets bet, what the number is when it goes off. And then, at 6:30 today, they'll lace them up and they'll play a hoops game, and we'll see what the final score will be.
180 it was gone from 180 minus 106 to 180 minus 104 to 180 minus 117 in the time we've talked about it. To college football, Tim. Let me ask you about one marquee game, and then we'll get to your plays. BYU Texas Tech with college football rankings implications. Any thoughts on this game with the undefeated Cougars involved?
Getting my legal pad out here. I got to get my notes ready.
Sorry.
This is one of those kind of scratch your chin type of point spreads when you look at an undefeated team like BYU laying or catching 10 and even 10.5 at Circa. We'll start with the positive for BYU. It does sound like LJ Martin, their leading running back, who left 2 weeks ago's game against Iowa State with a shoulder injury. He should be good to go, listed as probable in this one. And I think BYU, obviously they're undefeated. They deserve a ton of credit, but there is some, shadiness, I guess, a little bit in their numbers. You look at their win against Iowa State. They got a big interception. I was on Iowa State in that game, and it kind of flipped everything. But you look at some of the post-game win expectancy numbers out there, and, SP Plus had that as a 34% post-game win expectancy. The Colorado game on the road a couple weeks ago, 29% post-game win expectancy. I think this Texas Tech team, from a talent standpoint, guys, is pretty clear-cut the best team in the Big 12. And I do wonder if this is a situation a little bit like what we saw last week, which was you saw Cincinnati go on the road at Utah. They were catching a big number. You kept hearing, man, that's a big number. Well, it wasn't big enough. Utah went out and won by 31. So I think there's a little bit, I don't want to say fraudulent, but there's just a little bit of questions we have about BYU, despite being sitting there at number 8 in the college, or number 7 in the college football playoff rankings. I love the running back tandem of Williams and Dickey for Texas Tech. I actually laid 9.5 early in the week, and there still are 10s out there. I actually like the Red Raiders here in this spot, laying a big number against BYU. I just think the talent on this roster is too much. You've got a true freshman quarterback in Bear Bachmeier for BYU on the road, hostile environment. I'm going to go with the Red Raiders here. I don't normally lay the chalk, but I'm going to lay the 10 here, guys, with Texas Tech.
Yeah, and if the Red Raiders beat BYU, this is all so interesting with the playoff now. If they beat BYU, but then lose, let's say in the Big 12 championship, right, to BYU, they would still have a chance at an at-large bid as the Big 12 runner-up in that case. So there's all kinds of implications to a game like this projecting forward. I assume you're okay with your Notre Dame Fighting Irish at 10 because you figure they're going to run the table anyway?
Yeah, I mean, I think Notre Dame fans have zero gripe. I know there are a lot of people. I think Notre Dame probably should have been behind Oklahoma and Texas, to be honest. And obviously there was the discussion regarding the Irish and Miami, which is a fair discussion to have. They played a game on the field. They lost that game, and Miami is 8 spots back. So, I think the ACC can't be thrilled about where they're at, so far. But, yeah, for Notre Dame, I think it's all in front of them. They play Navy this weekend. I believe it's the biggest spread they've had against a service academy team in almost 2 decades, nearing 4 touchdowns. I don't know how Navy stops this offense. I think they're just going to have to try to keep the ball away from Notre Dame. And the big one sets up next week for the Irish against Pitt on the road. Look ahead line sitting at around 10 for the Irish against Pitt. But yeah, Notre Dame wins out. They should be in. But there's a lot that can unfold here. I mean, you look at Oregon sitting there at 9 guys in the initial rankings. How does that shake out? They have a game against Iowa this weekend. They still have games against USC and Washington too. So it's the first. It's kind of a starting point. I try not to get too flustered one way or the other about the rankings, but I didn't have too many gripes ultimately. But I would say that Notre Dame probably should be behind Texas and Oklahoma, in my opinion. But they were fortunate to land where they did on Tuesday night.
Give us one more play besides Texas Tech, Tim. Give us one more.
All right. We'll go with the sandwich spot of the week. This number has moved a lot, and I'm hoping it gets back to 10. I don't know what the motivation is for Duke this weekend, man. Duke beats Clemson for the first time in 45 years on the road. Next week, they've got a massive showdown at home against Virginia. And this week, Duke has to go on the road to Connecticut to play a pretty decent UConn squad. So I'll take the points with the Huskies on the road in a really weird situational spot. I'll tell you what, this UConn team can score some points, man. Joey Fagnano, 22 touchdowns, 0 interceptions for the Huskies this year at quarterback.
All right, there you go. UConn plus the points.